the real story of Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, a love built not on perfection, but on promise. If you've ever flipped on the television in the morning, you know them. Kelly, the effervescent host with the lightning-quick wit and a smile that feels like a burst of sunshine. Mark, the devastatingly handsome actor whose quiet charisma and loving gaze at his wife have become as much a part of the show's fabric as the morning news. For over 25 years, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos have been a fixture in our lives, projecting an image of a flawless fairy tale union. They are the couple who fell in love at first sight, built a beautiful family and soaring careers in tandem, and who still, visibly, make each other laugh like teenagers. But here's the truth we so often miss. To see their story only through that gleaming, highlight reel lens is to miss its most profound, most deeply human magic. The narrative of Kelly and Mark is not one of a charmed life, untouched by adversity. It's a masterclass in resilience. It's a story written in the quiet moments behind the studio lights and away from the tabloid headlines, a chronicle of private heartbreak, health anxieties, and professional battles that forged a bond not just of romance, but of unshakable solidarity. This is the real story of a love that is not perfect, but is powerfully, enduringly real. The foundation, a whirlwind beginning and a fortress of two. To understand their resilience, you have to go back to the beginning, to a foundation that was as unconventional as it was unshakable. Their meeting on the set of All My Children in 1995 is the stuff of legend. He was the new, struggling actor, she was the established starlet. The chemistry was immediate and volcanic, the kind you can't script. In a move that defied all conventional wisdom, they skipped the lengthy courtship. After a secret whirlwind romance, including a now fabled date where they were so lost in each other they failed to notice a fire alarm evacuating the entire restaurant, they flew to Las Vegas and eloped. Just like that. On May 1st, 1996, they became a team. But this impulsive romantic start was followed by something deeply intentional. They kept their marriage a secret for months. This wasn't just a publicity stunt, it was a conscious, strategic decision to protect their fledgling union from the crushing weight of external opinion. It set a pattern that would define them forever, a fierce, almost fortress-like protection of their private world. They weren't just two individuals who happened to be married, they were a unit, Team Consuelos, a small, self-contained entity navigating the turbulent waters of fame, family, and life together. Mark has often called Kelly his best friend, while she describes their relationship as a partnership first and foremost. This pragmatic yet deeply loving approach provided the stable ground from which they could face any storm. The public battles, a heartbreaking betrayal, and the ultimate reclamation. While their personal union was a source of strength, their professional lives became a stage for public stress and heartbreak. For Kelly, in particular, the platform of her daytime talk show became both a blessing and a battleground. For 11 long years, Kelly co-hosted Live with Regis and Kelly. While the on-air dynamic was playful, behind the scenes, Kelly was fighting to be seen. She was often labeled perky or chipper, terms that subtly diminished her fierce intelligence and work ethic. She was the sidekick, a role she had intellectually and professionally outgrown. Then came the professional gut punch. In 2012, after Regis Philbin's retirement, the network began a very public, very awkward search for his replacement. But the true heartbreak came when, without her knowledge or consent, the network announced that Michael Strahan would be her permanent co-host. She was informed mere minutes before the world knew. The disrespect was staggering. She was blindsided, marginalized, and treated as a passive participant in her own destiny. Can you imagine the sting, the humiliation? Her response was a masterstroke of quiet dignity. She took a scheduled vacation week, refusing to be on stage for the announcement. Her absence spoke volumes. The media frenzy that followed painted the network as profoundly sexist and out of touch. When she returned, she delivered a carefully crafted monologue, expressing love for her audience and crew, and acknowledging, with a heavy heart, that there is a lot to process. She never explicitly threw the network under the bus, but her pain and her principles were crystal clear. This public betrayal, as heartbreaking as it was, became her catalyst. It steeled her resolve. So when Michael Strahan left the show under his own cloud of controversy a few years later, the power dynamic had irrevocably shifted. This time, Kelly was instrumental in choosing his successor. And she chose her husband, Mark Consuelos. In a move that felt like poetic justice, the heartbreaking professional dismissal she had endured was rectified by an act of profound personal and professional reclamation. She had taken control of her narrative, and in doing so, solidified the show, now live with Kelly and Mark, as a true partnership in every sense of the word. The private struggles, the silent battles within their fortress. If the professional battles were public, the personal health struggles faced by the Consuelos family have been fiercely guarded. It is in these private, shadowed moments that their strength as a unit shines brightest. Mark has bravely opened up in recent years about his lifelong, silent battle with depression. He describes it not as situational sadness, but as a clinical, physiological condition, a heavy weight he has carried for most of his adult life. There were periods, he shared, where getting out of bed felt like a monumental task, where a pervasive sense of dread colored his world. For a man in the public eye, expected to be constantly charming and engaged, this internal struggle created a painful dichotomy. For Kelly, learning to navigate this was a journey of love and patience. She has spoken about the early days, trying to understand the shifts in his mood, learning to differentiate between a bad day and something more profound. She described it as learning a new language, the language of his depression. Her role became one of support and understanding, not of fixing. She created a safe space for his vulnerability. Mark's decision to seek therapy and actively manage his mental health was an act of profound courage. His openness has been a gift, transforming a private heartbreak into a powerful source of public awareness and destigmatization. Then came perhaps the most terrifying chapter of their lives, their son Joaquin's severe health crisis during his early teens. Diagnosed with a rare and serious condition that required major orthopedic surgery, the family was thrown into a world of fear. Kelly has called it the longest years of my life, a period marked by hospital visits, intense pain management for her son, and the agonizing helplessness every parent knows. She spoke of the darkest, scariest moments, sitting by his hospital bed, clinging to the hope of his recovery. Through it all, they leaned on each other. Mark was her rock, and she was his. They took shifts, they shared the burden of fear, and they presented a united front of strength for their children. They didn't let the world see them break. They saved that for each other, in the safety of their fortress. The unbreakable bond, a love forged, not found. The story of Kelly and Mark is not a fairy tale because it's been easy. It's a testament because it's been hard. Their love is not the fragile glass slipper kind that shatters under pressure. It is the kind that is forged in fire, in the fires of professional disrespect, of internal mental health battles, of the terrifying vulnerability of a sick child. It is a love built on a promise made in a Las Vegas chapel and fortified every single day since. A promise to be a team, a promise to protect each other, a promise to choose each other not just in the glittering moments, but in the heartbreaking ones too. Their enduring marriage is a powerful reminder that the strongest unions are not those that avoid the storms, but those that learn to stand together, drenched but unbroken, knowing that the shelter they've built for one another is the only one that truly matters.